Welcome back to React 19 crash course. It's part 2. Today we are going to talk about props, components, and how to build reusable components, and also about few accessibility things. Last time we built the foundation for our time travel planner. Today we are adding some structure and functionality by building reusable components. We will create a destination card, learn how to use props, and make sure our UI is accessible and well structured. So what are components? A React component is like a reusable building block. Instead of repeating the same HTML every time, you want to create a card and reuse it. Think of it like a recipe. Write it once, use it many times. What are props? Props are short for properties. They are how you pass data into a component. Think of props as function arguments, but for your UI. For example, we will pass to our destination card city, year, and description. And inside the destination card component, we can access these props in order to display dynamic content. So let's write our destination card component. Before we keep building, let's quickly talk architecture, but not buildings, but how we organize our app. We'll use a modular component-based architecture. There are usually different approaches in React how you want to build your app and share components. Each feature is a reusable component. For example, like our destination card, each part has its own folder with logic, styles, and tests grouped together. For global state, we'll use Redux toolkit, and it's also going to be grouped separately. So everyone usually has his own approach, how to call what directories and how to separate files between each other. I'll go with a simple one. We are going to just call it components, and then we are going to create here a new file and call it destination card. By the way, you might see that the file has an extension not JS but JSX, and it stands for JavaScript XML. It's a syntax extension that lets you write HTML-like code inside JavaScript. So instead of using document, create element, JSX lets you just write heading 1, hello world. React transforms this into JavaScript code that creates actual DOM elements, and JSX makes writing UI feel more natural and readable. You might have noticed that I don't do any more import React. In older versions of React, you had to write import React from React at the top of every file using JSX, but since React 17, that's no longer necessary. React handles the JSX transformation behind the scenes. And also, I don't know, if you are new to React, then you probably don't know what class components are. And you are a lucky one, but if you, for example, started writing using React from the very beginning, then you know that they existed, and class components used to be only way to manage state and lifecycle in React. And actually, in my opinion, they are pain in the ass because you had to write like 3 times more code. But now with React hooks, functional components can do everything class components can, but with less code and more readability. So we'll stick with functional components. They are the modern standard, easier to understand, and work seamlessly with hooks like useState and useEffect, but a little bit later about that. So we already know what props we are going to receive, so we can do destruction already here. It's going to be year, city, and description. We are going to return article with, for example, hot 2, and here we are going to have city and year, and here we are going to have just the usual paragraph with description. Later we are going to style it, but for now let's just import it in our app.js JSX and see that it really works. And let's create for now just some hard-coded props. For example, Paris, dance and drink coffee with Hemingway. Hope I wrote it right. You see that we added article, heading 2 and paragraph, and it's good for it's semantic HTML that is good for accessibility in order for blind users or users who use screen readers to understand of which part this component includes, and that's how they also understand how they can use it and what it is about and so on. So we also used heading 2, and that's also really important for accessibility to keep heading levels logical. So in our app JSX we already have heading 1, so the next level is heading 2. And of course if you continue building and you have other subheadings, then it should be heading 3, heading 4, and etc. So let's just check that it works. Yay! So now we are going to style it a little bit. So before styling, let's install everything that we need. We are going to style everything with Tailwind. To be honest, I am not a big fan of it. I don't really use it in my work. Yeah, I decided that it's also a great opportunity for me to learn more about it, and also to learn on the fly. It didn't work for me the first time because I thought I remembered how to do it, but eventually I had to go to the documentation and have a look how it is done now. Because we use white, so you need to run this command npm install Tailwind CSS white. I already did it, so follow along, and then you need just to go to white config.js, and you don't need any other configs or any other files, but you need to include Tailwind CSS in white config and also edit after React, for example. And after that you go to your index CSS and you import Tailwind CSS in the very beginning of the file. For now I left everything that is here, but for example in app CSS actually we don't need, for example, a logo anymore and anything that is connected to animations and everything that was installed by default in React app. So yeah, I deleted everything, and now we can go and test it. So for example, text to be a 50 pixel. Now you can see that, and yeah, now you can see that heading 2 is also the same, is different size. So now I'm going to sit on it a little bit and style. You can add any styles you want, and then I'll be back to you. So yes, that was it for today. We learned that components can be reusable, props make them dynamic, JSX makes UI easier to write, and semantic HTML makes everything accessible. And we've now built our first real feature. As I mentioned already, you can style it as you wish, and if you need the whole code, I'll put link to my GitHub repository in the description. Next time we will make our planner interactive by adding a form to let users pick their own time travel destination. We will cover state with use state, inputs, and accessible labels. So see you in part 3. And don't forget to hit the like button. Even though you didn't like this video, there might be someone that is going to like it. Choose!